It's Erin and Josh with One Residential. We're back today to talk about
home inspections.
He brought a prop. Okay.
Of course I did.
All right. We're going to talk about the 4 different types of home inspections today. Number 1 is a regular home inspection with the right to ask the seller for repairs.
So this is like basically when you go in and we put a ski mask on and we're going to ask for everything, right? I mean, this is the house has been on the market a week or two and we're going in a month maybe, but like a month feels like in our market, 2 weeks feels like a month, right? So we're going to go get as much as we can. We're going for the full-blown home inspection.
Yeah, and in other parts of the country, I think maybe it's possible that they ask for repairs all the time. Here, it's been such a seller's market that we really sometimes don't get the chance to do that. But in this first one, we're going to go in, we're going to have a home inspector go to the property. They're going to spend a lot of time, 3 hours, 4 hours, depends. I mean, I've attended 8-hour ones. Maybe a small condo would be about an hour and a half. They're going to go through, they're going to thoroughly inspect structural, mechanical, windows, roofs, all those sort of things. And then you're going to get a report after. Then we're going to go over the report with you and decide what are we going to ask the seller to address. What kind of things would you ask the seller to address, Josh, if you're buying your own house?
I mean, I definitely want the big ticket items. I want the things that are cost me a lot of money. I want the HVAC working. I want to make sure my roof isn't leaking. I want to make sure that the plumbing is good. I mean, can they actually check the plumbing?
Well, we can certainly check for leaks under the sinks, any visible things. They might also bring out their moisture meter, see if there's any water staining anywhere, stuff like that. I will say that, the most important things that we typically look at are things that we did not visually see with our initial showing or walkthrough of the property. A lot of buyers are like, hey, that carpet's got staining, stuff like that. We don't really ask for those because they should have seen that when they were there viewing the property. But now that we're doing the home inspection, we're going to uncover things you cannot see. And that is the most important piece of the whole thing, right?
Totally true.
I would say the most common problems are like leak under the kitchen sink.
All the time.
What do you think?
Oh, always. I see that all the time. In fact, I'm almost trained to look under there and just point it out, be like, hey guys, this water's been leaking for a little bit. We normally see this.
Or there's like that fresh new board under there.
Oh yeah, the fresh board is
So
telltale.
what do you think's under that? Maybe some mold, things like that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about mold really quick.
Suspect mold, you mean?
Well, what we think might be mold is a suspect mold until it's actually tested. So, buyers always ask me, is that a big issue? Or they start to think it's a big issue. And, what I always say is, well, do we know the source of it, right? If there is mold under the kitchen sink and we know it's because the faucet dripped, what does that mean, Josh?
I mean, who knows? I mean, my mind goes to like 50,000 different places. I don't even know what to say to that.
Well, I mean, the reality is we know where it came from, right?
Yeah.
So how extensive it is or what kind of remediation you need is one thing, but we know where it came from and we know if we replace a faucet or fix a faucet, probably is going to stop, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but like when you go in the basement, now we got maybe water intrusion from outside or other crazy things. We don't really know. Like if I say to you, hey, if the seller fixed this and you get receipts and you have proper remediation, are you going to feel good about the home? Are you going to feel like, yeah, I can live here. I'm happy. I'm not worried about it happening again.
Yeah. I would feel better knowing, number one, that it was fixed by a licensed contractor or at least somebody that knows what they're doing and not Johnny homeowner down there, like with a wrench and, trying to look up things on YouTube at the same time.
Yep.
That does not make me feel good.
I agree. So, when we're thinking about mold or other things that are like maybe just not straightforward, we're going to have a conversation with our clients and say, hey, do we know the cause? Are we very confident that it's gone? And if we are, then we're going to ask that seller to repair things and we're going to move forward on the house that they like, right? Now, if we're not confident that something is going to be fully repaired, what do we do then?
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to take that into our own hands, right? We're going to ask for a credit so that we can drive who's going to make these types of repairs. Because ultimately, sometimes being a control freak pays up. Freak. Yeah. Sometimes when you're a control freak, it pays off. It gives you peace of mind and we can control the quality.
Yep. And then if we still don't feel comfortable, we don't want to buy the house, we have the option to void the contract instead of asking for repairs. Let's say we also then asked the seller to fix it and they were unwilling to do that, we can also back out of the contract at that time. So we have some options here with this first way of doing a home inspection. We can ask for repairs, we can void the contract, we are fully protected as the buyer, and if the seller doesn't want to do our repairs, we can negotiate further, we can come to a middle ground. As Josh suggested, we always have the option to get credits, because like, if they're going to replace a kitchen faucet, I might want to say what I want. So I might take a credit for that. I don't want them to pick out the gold one that's $23 at Home Depot. Do you?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So, okay. Inspection type number 2. We commonly call this a void-only home inspection.
Also the get out of jail free inspection, but that's it.
Or pass or fail, sometimes referred to.
Yeah, sometimes,
it, you know. Now, what does pass or fail mean? And I have a lot of buyers that always ask me, did this home pass? What do you think about that?
Yeah, and you know, it's funny because they do look at us and they're like, so what indicates a pass? And they're waiting for the inspector to say this is a pass or a fail.
Yep.
But really, it's more or less, what is the buyer who's purchasing comfortable with? And so like sometimes we have clients that are general contractors. A lot of times they don't care about a lot at all because they have a crew of folks that are going to come in and do a whole bunch of things. Or somebody that's purchasing a property that is a fixer-upper, they also don't care. They just want to make sure the foundation isn't crumbling beneath them.
Yep.
And there isn't a family of raccoons living in the attic. That's about it, right?
I mean, we could probably do it with that. But,
I mean,
we'll see. But yeah, I mean, we're going to look at the report with you as a buyer and we're going to say, okay, are you okay with these items? Are you not? Did you have enough information from the inspector? Usually the inspector is going to say, yeah, hey, this might be better than some homes I see, or it might be worse than some homes I see, or this is normal, this is not normal. But ultimately, it's up to the buyer to decide if they're comfortable with the overall condition of the home. Now, Josh, we also get asked this question a lot. If I have a pass-fail or void-only inspection, can I still ask for a repair from the seller?
Ooh. So with any negotiation, there always is a chance to have a negotiation point. So contractually speaking, the contract does not allow for that back and forth negotiation. However, if you're under contract with a seller and you're on the buyer side and there's something that is either catastrophic or just something that the buyer is just not comfortable with, it makes sense to at least go to the seller and say, look, we have one or two things that we just cannot get past.
Yeah.
Are you willing to go ahead and address these things, right?
Yeah, like if I'm representing the seller and somebody asks me for repairs and maybe it's a health or safety related item that we're going to feel good about repairing, we'd rather they ask than void the contract. We don't want to go back to the market. If it's something that's fixable, like let's talk about it. A lot of agents get really upset when buyers ask them during a void only and they, for repairs. But really, I think it's just like finding the win-win for all parties and making sure everybody gets what they want at the end of the day. And I know a lot of my sellers, they want to pass on a good home. I actually have an investor I've done over 50 flips with. And she wants the report whether or not you have a void only or not. And she'll go out and have her contractor do most of the items because she wants to feel good about the product she's giving that buyer. So I think there's a lot of misconceptions that the seller was the one that chose a void only inspection, but actually the buyer's the one choosing that. So sometimes sellers are more than willing to kind of make something right. And a lot of my sellers, I don't know about you, they didn't even know that problem existed, and they would have fixed it if they knew ahead of time.
No, a lot of times they're very shocked and also sometimes even hurt if the buyer voids and they're like, no, wait a second. I didn't realize. I mean, I would have taken care of that. So sometimes we rush to judgment and we just pop out on a contract when you could work it out. And, even though this isn't in the English dictionary, almost everything is figureoutable.
Figureoutable. That's right.
we need to remember that.
Here at One Residential, it's figureoutable.
It is. We figure it out.
So one thing about the home inspection and kind of what to do when you're faced with, do I move forward on this deadline or not? I always like to say is the higher the problem, the easier the fix. So let me explain that. Roof problem. What do? You replace the roof, right?
Yeah. That's the first thing, right?
It costs money, but it's replaceable. It's fixed. We know it's fixed.
Yeah.
Nobody's really worried about
Absolutely.
it, right?
Yep.
Okay, as we move down the house, we get to the basement. what do we see? Structural problems, water, all kinds of humidity issues, things like that. Those are things that are like not quite sure if it's 100% fixed, even if we had someone come in there and fix something. So when we do have that as a buyer, you might want to second guess, okay, there's a structural problem. Yeah, we're going to bring in a structural engineer and they might have some recommendations, but are you always going to stay awake at night thinking, is my house falling down, or do I have a bigger issue growing over the years, right? Those are the times where you might say, let me find a different house, right? So then you can void, which is the void only home inspection.
Yep, that is right.
Now, third type of inspection can get a little costly. Let me explain why. But this is the pre-offer home inspection. It can get costly when you maybe have to do more than one. So you're going to bring a home inspector out to the property before you make an offer on the home. If there's maybe a deadline set or it's going to be very competitive, we're going to do an offer ahead of time so that you can waive your home inspection contingency in the offer. Now, when we do that, it's usually reduced to maybe like 2/3 of the cost. Some inspectors do give a report for a pre-offer home inspection. Some do not. So those are really great questions to ask when you're scheduling your pre-inspection. You know, do I get a report? What's the scope of work? It is normally a very similar inspection. It's going to be faster.
Yeah, and normally it is scheduled during a showing time block.
Yeah.
So that showing time block is not going to allow for more than an hour. And normally, like we said before earlier in the video, that the inspection normally will take 2, 3, 4 hours. So it's very important that you get in right in on time, and then as the inspector starts to do a lot of times we call it a walk and talk, where they're just going to start looking at the big ticket items. They're going to be walking and they're going to be talking. And what we end up doing is we'll go ahead and we'll pull our AI up and we'll just talk in what is being said to us so that we have a succinct, basically a report at the end for our clients. It's really important to make sure that everybody is comfortable with what is found. And as we're doing this, we're putting the buyers in a good spot to be able to make a more competitive offer in our very dynamic market that we're dealing with.
Yeah, so, you know, if a property comes on the market Thursday, they might start showings Thursday night or Friday. We'll see pre-inspections start getting scheduled Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, Sunday night, and maybe an offer deadline on Monday or Tuesday. And then those offers with pre-inspections are going to be looked at as more favorably because they already know the buyer's locked in past that one contingency that the buyer really has true control over, and they can void the contract. That seller is going to feel like this is more of a secure offer. They don't have that right to back out. They already know the problems or the good things about my home with their inspector. Now, you know, you might feel like, okay, I don't want to do this because I'm going to waste a few $100s and I might not get the house. Well, deciding on whether or not you do it is really how competitive can you be in that situation. And sometimes we just really gotta, you know, if we can't waive other contingencies, this is the way to be more competitive. Now, if you do a pre-inspection, you can actually have, let's say you get the home, you can actually have the home inspector come back and write the full report and go through kind of what we call your home ownership tips and learning about your home. Because a home inspection is not just to find bad things. A home inspection is to actually allow you as the buyer to learn about how to operate your home, maintain your home. Where do I change the filter? Where's my main water shut off? You know, what do I do with my electrical panel? All those sort of things that we really want you to know about when you are buying a home and want to keep it up and make sure it's still a good asset for you.
Now, I'm sure like people are thinking, why would I continually write offers with these pre-inspections? Let's say like if it's very competitive and I have to write 7 offers, I mean, I'm doing the math, $350 a pop, and I'm like, you know, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But what people need to understand, you're doing an inspection as a buyer to mitigate your risk. The seller is mitigating their risk by getting an offer without the inspection.
That's right.
So it's all about risk management. And what we're doing is we're knocking down walls to make this easier for the seller to say, you're my person, let's ratify this.
Well, you're willing to take risk of money and time ahead of time, right? And that says something about your intentionality in making the offer and how strong you are, and also your willingness to stick through the transaction overall. And I think that, you know, a lot of buyers, they think, okay, why am I keep spending this money? But even if you got to $2,000 range or something like that, and you uncovered a problem that could have been that, I mean, you've saved that money right off the bat.
You have.
Now, obviously, this is only going to be times where you really want to make the right offer, you're going to be competitive, and you really want this property. But it's very common, I would say, in the spring market or on properties that are newly renovated and priced really well, that you're going to face this kind of competition. So we can teach you how to be right there with them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So number 4 is actually no inspection at all. Waiving the home inspection. I know. So we don't recommend you do this. However, buyers will do it. Yeah, so we recently had a seller that did not want to allow pre-inspections, and we did get offers without home inspections at all. So you're thinking, oh my gosh, why would you do that? The seller doesn't...
Why?
I know.
Why would somebody do that?
I know. Well, I mean, I'm not their buyer agent, so I don't know. But like you said,
have you waived one yourself?
Yeah.
I might have too.
I don't think I've had a home inspection on the last 2 homes I bought.
Yeah. So there's a story here, right?
Wait, I've seen like 3,000 home inspections. So like.
Oh, exactly. So you are the person that waives the home inspection because it matters who you are, right? Again, Johnny Contractor, he's doing his own walk and talk home inspection himself, right? Or somebody that maybe is purchasing something well below their means.
True.
They're like, let alone, I mean, I could rebuild this house if I wanted to. So whatever, I just want it. So those things are happening. And then you have folks like us that, you know, we do see a lot, right?
Yeah.
And so we're running the risk calculation in our brains. And, you know, sometimes we're comfortable with it and we just go for it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's some things that you can see very apparently in a home, and there's also some things that you may not ever see even with a home inspection. I mean, we do have, you know, infrared cameras, moisture detectors, things like that, but we truly can't see through the walls. So there are always going to be situations where you're not going to catch everything. And, you know, with any kind of home inspection, there's just inherent risk or any kind of home purchase, you're going to take on something that you may not know all the answers to. And I think that's one of the hardest things for most buyers.
No, are you saying that you roll into these things like when you're purchasing for yourself with an infrared camera?
No.
That's
moisture
what it sounded
meter.
like.
Meter.
Oh, moisture meter, maybe. Yeah.
I'm saying that even in a regular home inspection.
No, for sure. I'm just picturing you like walking around with like your iPhone charger, like plugging in all the electric, you know, to like make sure my phone starts charging.
You know,
you would do that.
I deal with a lot of repairs. We do flips. You know, we have a lot of investment properties. So I'm very comfortable with knowing if that's a good home, if it's really well cared for by the seller. I can tell if a seller's really love that home and they kind of have done everything or gone above and beyond. And I'm willing to take the risk, and that's on me. Now, what we'll see is a lot of buyers just get tired of losing, and then they will start to waive it. Now, you know, again, you have to kind of see, okay, am I willing to do it? Do I have money to pay for anything that might come up? And then how savvy am I with construction and the things I might do to the house?
For sure. And I think one of the important things about hiring the right agent is when you do start getting stressed out and you do start making the wrong decisions, that's when we're like, hey, just so you know, I'm going to be honest with you. If you actually waive this home inspection, I might have fought you in the street over it because it's not a good idea. And that's important. That's an important part of this. You're going to get frustrated, and we're going to stay very even keel about this.
Keep you level-headed, right? Keep you making the right decisions and really being your backbone to make sure. I always tell my clients, like, you might go look at the pretty kitchen. I'm going to go to the basement and check out everything that I see. And I might tear apart a house that you really love. But I'm doing that because I would never want to put you in a home where I saw something and didn't say something.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And really, it's our license that says that we have to do that. But for me, it's really, I want you to have a great experience. I want you to have the home that you want and the least amount of headaches possible.
Yeah. If we tear the house apart and you still love it, guess what? You really love that. That is your house.
Yeah.
That is your house.
Yep. When you're sitting on the kitchen stool and sitting here going, "This is my home," I might be like, "Hey, let's go look at this structural crack in the basement before we even start spending money."
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like we learned something today.
Gosh, I hope so.
Jeez, we spent a lot of time not to learn something.
That's true.
All right.
And if you want to learn more, make sure to check out our last post about escalation clauses.
So, I need you to subscribe, like, and comment. below.